Hi, this is Yosef Bhartia, and we are back with our uber popular yearly prediction video series. And we have with us once again Steve Winterfeld, advisory CISO at Akamai. Steve, first of all, Happy New Year, and it's great to have you on the show again.
It's great to be here. I'm glad to see you've changed your background, a new year and a new look. I'm still have my tired look, but I'm excited.
I am excited as well. Of course, I will ask you to grab your crystal ball and share your predictions. But before that, quickly remind our viewers what is Akamai all about.
So Akamai really has three main purposes. At the end of the day, we're making the internet a better place for billions of people every day. Akamai has a lot of performance. So if you're watching a major event streaming, you're probably doing that over Akamai. If you're going to somebody's website and having a great experience, that performance is supported by Akamai. We also then expanded into security. Whether we're protecting the edge, we're protecting against ransomware with our segmentation or your APIs. We have an entire platform of products for security. And lastly, you can build on Akamai, whether it's function as a service or serverless or the full cloud experience through our Linode cloud capability, you can build on Akamai as well.
Excellent, thank you. And now it's time for you to open your air-gapped crystal ball and share your predictions with us.
So I'm going to focus on security, and some of these are probably more trends and predictions. I would never want to be held accountable for all my past predictions. The first is I'm seeing a shift towards more and more security becoming involved with physical security. I've done this in the past. And so I'm saying more CISOs will become CSOs. And traditionally, CISOs are information. CSOs are information and physical security. So I'm going to say more and more physical security and general security will be included in our traditional job function. I see more agentic AI or autonomous AI systems, standalone making decisions. Gen AI is very different than machine learning. We've been doing that with machine learning for a while, but I just see that expanding and an area we have to keep an eye on. APIs are tied to everything, and I continue to see APIs needing more and more visibility and security. We can't protect what we don't know about. We've got to know what data is out there. I predict more and more challenges around API. And finally, I think we have to be more cryptographically agile. With quantum and a few other things coming down the pike, we really need to look at how we're dealing with cryptography and be very agile going forward.
Can you also share, what are the indicators, what are trends you're seeing, or what kind of, when we talk about predictions, to be honest, it's not crystal grazing. It's based upon the facts, what is happening in the industry, and that's what you think things will. So what are your criteria when you pick these predictions?
So I really kind of organize my thoughts around a few things. First is, what are those trends? What are those predictions around people? We have, let's say generative AI top of mind right now. What are the skills the CISO needs in here? What do I, as the leader, need to understand about this? How we're using it, how we're protecting our models, how the criminals are using it. I need engineers that understand how it works so they can understand how to put security guardrails around it. And those skills are going to be in high shortage. And finally, I need to understand, where we're going to replace people and where we're going to enhance people's ability to work. Processes. I see things coming out like recently the federal government was going after some CISOs directly. I think under the new administration, I'd see that changing. I see the NIST 2.0 had governance added to it last year. I see that actually showing up in more reports. Data embassies, and then finally technology, things like we talked about APIs, but, things like IDC's prediction for AI data bombs. knowing where the data is, how it's structured, so that bill of material expanding in there. Next, I tend to look at what research is out there. Akamai has a great blog, our end of year summary blog, and we talk about some of the things we see coming in that. So what do we see in research, like more DNS attacks, more DDoS attacks, and how fast they're coming, how ransomware is evolving. And finally, where we see some of the threats changing. I see more chained attacks, pig butchering kind of attacks that are the long con being involved by AI. So again, people, processes, technology, threats, and research. And that's kind of when you're going out to look at what's emerging, a great way to think about it in my mind.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that process as well. Now, can you also talk about what kind of challenges you see are going to be there this year?
Well, I think the first and foremost is, understanding the threat. And as I look at the threat, I used to, say, okay, I've got, cyber criminals, I've got nation states, and I've got hackivists. And there's a bunch of others you can organize around, but those are probably three of the most common buckets. Well, now all of a sudden I'm seeing, these blending of different things where nation states are empowering hacktivist or criminal groups. And because of this and some of the geopolitical conflicts we've had, I continue to see the shift in who the I don't want to say cyber criminals, who the attack ecosystem is morphing, and it's harder for me to predict who's going to attack, what kind of attacks I should be defending on. So I think that's probably top of mind, is understanding the attack ecosystem. Generative AI, I think so much of this is around talent, getting people in my security organization that understand it, partnering across my organization to understand when and how we're using it. It's a huge challenge. And last, that post-quantum threat is accelerating. We've heard about this, harvest now, decrypt later. Where does that really stand in my risk spectrum? Am I cryptographically agile? What does that even mean? And how do I build that into my architecture? Those would be the top three for me.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, this is something interesting, which is like, what are the things that you wish would happen this year, but they won't?
So I think there are three things that every year we have a major incident. There's something around supply chain. There's something around insider threat. We have somebody cause a breach through some of our technical debt. We're trying to get our arms around IoT, Internet of Things, or medical devices. And, they never seem to make top of budget. So I always struggle with, that balance of someone's going to have a major event with those things this year. How do we solve them? Where do they belong in our risk radar? But my personal one is we need to focus more on that technical debt. I'm talking about Gen AI. I'm talking about APIs. And the reality is we've got some tech debt that's probably as big or bigger risk for us.
And looking at these predictions, challenges, what is going to be the focus of Akamai in 2025?
Well, again, we continue to focus on enabling our current capabilities with generative AI. Our segmentation is getting natural language capabilities to make junior analysts be able to do deeper and more insightful research and analysis. We are looking at protecting generative AI models, large language models. We're looking at solving the next problem along that lane. We continue to work with customers because those are probably the two top of mind. And yet we also are enhancing our DNS capabilities. We're looking at how to make sure we're staying ahead of the DDoS attacks. We're making sure our threat hunters are staying on top of the latest ransomware methodologies. And last but certainly not least, integrating all of this into a cloud environment so people can come and easily and safely build in our environments.
Steve, once again, thank you so much for joining me again and share your prediction. And as you mentioned in the beginning, that I don't want to hold a scorecard to compare your last year's predictions with this year, so I will not do that. But I would love to have you again on the show next year to check which of your prediction turned out to be true and to get the next set of predictions for the next year. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Looking forward to it. Great year to everybody.